don't you worry. I still have a few more stories in store for you. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the stories, make sure that if you have any stories, to leave them down in the comments so I can hear about all your spoopy experiences too. Our next story brings us also back into my high school days. This story is about the haunted community center. Now, there's several places in my town that are considered haunted. I wouldn't say that the community center is the most famous of them all. Probably another location in town that's even been on a lot of ghost story books as well. But my ghost stories don't come from the hotel, but from the community center. So I've had a few encounters in the past of strange events in the community center. You know, I had been there, I'd helped with a lot of different things, community service projects, and a lot of times that left me to be alone in the back. Our community center is very strange. It's very round in the center, and then there's a stage, and there's a back, like a little walkway that is hidden, and you can go to the back where the bathrooms are. There's storage back there and a full kitchen. It's a very, very old building, giraffe-y and strange, but in the back there, in the hallway between the back room and the stage, there is a piano. This piano, I cannot tell you why. I've seen it tens of 20s of times throughout my whole entire time living in this town. Many times I've seen this piano, and every time it never ceases to creep me out, alright? Always terrifies me. And there's been several times that I have been alone in that building, and I have heard that piano just make a single note here and there, as if someone had bumped it, just a slight little tinge of noise. But every time I have to walk through that little walkway from the stage to the back room, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. There's something with that piano that just gives me the chills. But the major part of my story comes from years down the line, when I was still in high school, not when I was a little child helping out or doing things at the community center, but when I was in high school. So every year, the community center does a community event, and they put on a play. I was in art class, and they had asked the school if their art students would come help paint the backdrops and stuff for their community event. And I was chosen to go along with. Well, like, we had been there several different days, and there were two very specific things that happened while we were painting this backdrop that really chilled me to the bone and made me not want to go back there anymore. So there wasn't very many people, obviously. It was just my teacher, me, and a few other students who would go during certain class periods and go paint on this backdrop. And one student who actually didn't live in our town very long, he was coming with us, and I gotta say, he really creeped me out on a normal basis. He really creeped me out, but that day just terrified me. I don't know why. This may seem like the tiniest thing to you, but this happened, and then I'll tell you the other event that happened. So we were painting, and we were kind of taking a little break. Yet again, I go through the creepy little, pathway where the creepy piano is, and I go in the back and I look because my teacher is looking for said student who was the one that kind of creeped me out, and it was my job to go find him, and he'd been missing for a while. So I go in the back and I call his name, go through that creepy passageway. He's not there. Look in the kitchen. I yell into the bathroom to see if he's in there. Go back out in the main room, and I'm like, teacher, I don't know what to tell you, he's missing. And right in that moment, as I was telling my teacher that we could not find him and everybody was looking for him, he appears through the creepy hallway where the piano is right behind me, like right behind me and says my name, and scared the living daylights out of me. So that was just creepy in general. He obviously was playing a prank, or he's just this, I don't know. We had this joke in school that he was a ghost. Like, that's how weird it is. I know that sounds cheesy, I know that sounds weird, but this kid was weird. We don't know who his family was, we don't know where he came from, and he only was there for a short amount of time, but it was weird, alright? So that wasn't the big main event that made this community center terrifying to me. What really, really creeped me out was, so another day when we were painting, that kid happened to not be there that day, I'm pretty sure. We were painting and we were finishing up. Obviously, it's pretty cold. It's during the winter. The building is pretty drafty because it really is. It's a couple hundred years old, a building. And so, like, it's not uncommon for going into the back room for these rickety old doors to slam behind you, because the cold air coming through creates this draft and they'll move the doors and stuff. So obviously, you know, I'm like, oh, it's not haunted, it's just the draft, it's creepy, it's cold in here, blah, blah, blah. And so we're finishing up our day of painting, and I had just been really on edge that day. I don't know why, but I was feeling so creeped out in that building. And so my teacher, she's like, Morgan, can you please go into the kitchen in the back room and find some garbage bags for us? And I really didn't want to go back there by myself, I gotta be honest with you. I'm like, me, but I'm kind of doing it. And she's like, no, you just go do it. You know where everything is here. It's just in one of the cabinets. It's fine. Like, and so I'm like, oh, okay. So I walk up to the double doors that go into where the kitchen is, and I open one, and the second I step in, and I left the door open on purpose, the second I step in, the door slams behind me, and mind you, no one had followed me, like no one was even near me, and I'm like, oh, it's just the draft, you know, that's it. And all of a sudden I felt just this cold like wind, and I'm like, oh, it's just the draft, it's just the draft. And it just chilling, like the door had slammed. It's ice cold in this kitchen, so much colder than the other room, and I have no explanation for why it was so cold, except for it's the draft. And I look behind me at the door as it slams, and I look up, and there's a window in the back, and I look up right into the kitchen, only to see a big white orb about 20 feet in front of me slowly like go across the room and disappear into a cabinet. And I'm like standing there, the door just slammed, it's freezing cold in here, and I see this freaking like ball of light just fly in front of me, and I'm just like, I don't want to go in there. I have to walk right where this ball of light went into I have to go over there and look for the garbage bags. And if I go back and say I was scared and couldn't find them, my teacher's gonna flip out and be mad at me. And so I like hesitantly walk in there. I open a couple cabinets. I cannot find the garbage bags, and so I go out and I tell my teacher, and then she's grumpy that I couldn't find them, and so they go in, they're like, it was right here, go find it. And I'm like freaked out, and they're like, what is wrong with you? And I told them, I'm pretty sure everyone thought I was crazy, but I told them what happened. And another thing, you know, I tried to be like, oh, there's an explanation for this. Like I said, there is a window. So there's like the cabinets, there's like a bar here, there's upper cabinets that wrap around, there's sinks and a stove, all this stuff, right, in this kitchen. There's a big, long window out there. It's like, oh, it's a sun flare, it's a thing of dust, the light, no, like it was big enough, it had to have been like this big. But that place had always creeped me out, everybody had always said it was haunted, but that, I was done. I was like, I'm not coming back here. I'm not painting with you guys anymore. If you guys need to go in the background, you can go, because I'm not about it. I'll be there when lots of people are there, but sitting there with only like 3 or 4 of us or 5 of us, no. So my days of painting the backdrop for the community center were no more. I wasn't gonna go back there, and I looked like the biggest weenie in the world. But that really creeped me out because that I saw. You know, my other experiences were like corner of the eye, think you hear something, something you misplaced. But this specific moment, I saw it. It was right in front of me. The door slammed behind me. It was a very creepy experience, to say the least. I hope you guys enjoyed yet another spoopy story I had for you guys. If you have any spoopy stories yourself, make sure you leave them below in the comments, and so that we can all share in the spoop season together. If you liked the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe, hit the bell button, then you'll be notified the next scary story I tell. And I will see you guys in the next one.